Alright, welcome back you lot. Bit of a random one this. I was not expecting a just Saturday reveal. Especially this. This on Valentine's Day is quite the move. It's quite the thing to do. This is the new Grove Guardian. There's a whole trailer attached to this, by the way, but if that trailer doesn't play now, it's because it got copyright claimed and I had to cut it out, so let's see. Anyway, this is the Grove Guardian. It's for the Slyvaneth, and it is absolutely mental. Again, there is something about this particular faction in AOS that I absolutely love, mostly because it feels like GW is not afraid to get weird. And when I say get weird, I mean a very specific kind of weird. I mean a Nightmare Forest sort of weird. And this is... I mean, what even is this? I mean, specifically, this is something that produces other Slyvaneth, which is just very cool. And, you know, in the other view we can see just there's a lad having a little bit of a nap in a giant flower. But the overall concept for this and the overall shape of it just is so out there. The tree somehow feels really static, but it clearly has some sort of movement to it, probably aided by the various critters that are leaping around the base. The way that the roots spread out and up and seem to be wrapped around said critters is really nice. I like the way they've done that. It's very fun. Very, like, I'm trying to think of the right... It's like a mini diorama, but not, because there's still a feeling of stuff shifting around. But at the same time, it looks very, very static, and I don't really know how to reconcile those two things. I think part of the movement is coming from the actual, like, the actual Grove Guardian up top. Well, I say the actual Grove Guardian, clearly there is some melding with the tree itself, which kind of blurs the line between what is the creature, what is the thing the creature is protecting. Obviously, the line is intentionally blurred, but it feels like there's a lot of, like, dynamic movement going on at the top of the model, but then it reduces the further down you get until you just have this chaos mess of critters, roots, grasses, all at the bottom. It's very, very fun. I just think it looks really, really interesting. I would also suggest, even by the standard of the Slyvaneth, this is quite different. There's nothing really in their range that is exactly like this. And the thing is, this is a range that is in some ways quite limited. Like, you know, there's a theme. The theme is people made of wood. And pretty much every model within the range is, to a varying degree, a person made of wood. Might be a giant person made of wood. Might be a small person made of wood. Could be a person made of wood with some sort of ghostly, normal-looking person sticking part way out. But the overall theme is extremely clear. And with something that specific and that narrowed down, I feel like there's a risk of getting into repetitive territory quite easily. What they seem to have done to avoid that for the Slyvaneth characters as a whole is just make each of them absolutely batshit in slightly different ways. Like, every single one of their characters has got something that sets it apart from the others. And if we look at the Arch-Revenant, you have got an incredibly fun but extremely floaty miniature that is a musician, a wizard, a floating hatchery for weird little beetle creatures. Like, there is just a lot going on. Thematically, this is kind of all over the place, but at the same time, all the elements that make it part of the Slyvaneth range stand out really nicely. And even though it is, objectively, a bit mad, it still fits, even though potentially it feels like it shouldn't. Then you've got the Arch-Revenant, which, again, you've got a fairly simple basis here of the same wooden stuff that really all of the Slyvaneth rely on for that cohesive look, but the combination of the wings, the horns, the polearm, it's honestly kind of impressive how different, again, this looks. Even when it comes to the bigger models, things like Drycha Hammerdreth right here, those honeycomb sections in the legs and arms make a massive amount of difference to have it stand out from your standard Tree Lord style miniatures. And then you got this, the wooden Dr. Octopus Nightmare. I mean, just what were they thinking with this? I absolutely love it, but it is very weird. It's very odd, especially when you consider that something else that is part of the same faction is this. Like, there's a big difference between these two. Basically, the similarities are simply they both have wooden elements, but a lot of the rest of it is kind of separate. And then we go back to the Grove Guardian, which again is just very different from the other characters. It's something very unique, even amongst stuff that looks kind of similar. I just think they do a really good job with these. I think each one has got such a separate personality, but it's still cohesive overall. Even though stylistically there's a lot of stuff that is just very, very particular to this. Just like the Warsong Revenant has got that huge crest with the different sort of egg things on it, and the thorns growing around the bottom, this has got these interesting flowers and this big sort of, like, what even is that? It's like not a beaker, a flask, like a big ornate flask that looks grown, pouring liquid or nectar or whatever into that bulb of that flower. That's just a very cool concept. But then you follow it down, and the merging between the actual Grove Guardian and the tree that they're attending to or are part of or are in some way, it's just a very fun and cool transition. I'm really, really liking this. It's something a bit different. Again, this really does feel like a faction where each character is something specific and special, and I like that a lot. The alternate angles are really nice as well, like that big crest on the head is super fun. I really like the detail on it. You've got these big, like, pincer shear things, which are very cool, which also sort of look kind of scary at the same time. And again, that sleeping Slyvaneth that's been growing in that big flowery pod, I mean, that is just very, very cool. This does, of course, herald a new Battletome on the way for the Slyvaneth, but I'll be honest, I was mostly here for this, because, god damn, that is a solid miniature. Bit mad, but that's one of the reasons I like it. Anyway, let me know what you think of the Grove Guardian in the comments down below, and I'll see you for the next one.